Hello everyone, Dylan here. Today I'm going to be doing a boundary break of Just Dance Wii 2. So we're going to start off with the title screen, first of all, and as you can see it is quite a bit of a background. And as you can see, the game is actually a lot more resemblant to Just Dance 3 than the first game was to Just Dance 2 in terms of color schemes. But what's really interesting is that I don't know, are these sparkles double-sided? Doesn't look like it, but a lot of these textures are indeed double-sided. As you can see, these textures are actually... Oh, frig. We're not at the song yet, but you can see that these textures actually go a certain distance. They fade out before they can reach this area right here, and you can see these little dots that you always see. Yeah, you see here, it's actually, this little text box thing is actually at a slightly different angle, I think, to this background area here. So, that's nice. So, where is the pointer located in terms of layering? I can't really tell actually, because it's like hard to see the pointer. It's like when you go even somewhat off where you're supposed to be, the pointer just disappears. I don't know where to see it now. So unfortunately we cannot see the pointer that much. Yeah, this area right here has some... So as it turns out, there's this other area here where you have these things rendered way out here, as well as something that and also something that is only barely on screen is this texture right here. So is this random bar here that means seems to be kind of close. It seems to be really close to it, and also I don't know if you can see it on screen. It doesn't look like you can. At the very least, I can't see it on screen. So you might be wondering how these are rendered. And if you're not, well, I'm going to show you anyways. The options are rendered like this. We're not going to turn on any of these, but this is how these are rendered. So we got some... It's kind of hard to see, but oh my goodness, this is a really weird thing. Yeah, you can tell how these are rendered, and yeah, you can basically see that these are also kind of rendered. I got some of the achievements alright, that's because I played like every song, and some of these achievements were bound to happen. Not everyone was bound to happen, but some of them were. Yeah, as you can see, there's like some texturing on some of these medals where you can like kind of see it. And when you hover your cursor over one of these achievements, they just get bigger. Yeah, they just get bigger, and it seems like these achievements actually have two layers. One of them is the metal thing, and the other is the default layering. They just get the... I don't know if that's actually true, and there's also some circles that are layered near as well. And as for the text, yeah, it's layered just... It's actually layered in front of these things. And as you can see, these texture things are in front of the metal things. I don't know. And yeah, these metals are indeed... Yeah, the metals are layered behind the text just slightly, and these stars are layered even further behind, which normally you would be able to see. As well as this perfect judgment, except the text is replaced with Japanese text. because it's the Japanese version of Just Dance 3. And yeah, if you you can actually see that, yeah, it was actually also translated Japanese right here, which probably is the result of this texture also changing, but, yeah, this is actually a really cool detail that not many other games would also do, and yeah, this also seems to be very much translated. It's much easier to see here, but, yeah, it actually is fully translated to Japanese, which is really cool. I should also show you the credits and how they're rendered. I'm not gonna... Alright, so as it turns out that the credits are just... Credits are just tied to the screen and... Yeah. The credits are just tied to the screen. How is this rendered? Let's find out. This is how it's rendered, with everything still being the same except the background changes to include the sweat mode stuff like this. Mostly bluish, greenish coloring with these sweat drops right here, and you can see just how much further back this just sweat text is rendered behind these textures here, and the back button is also rendered on a separate layer. And yeah, when you have to select a profile, this is this weird texture that is mostly transparent is just blocking off a lot of these, it's just blocking off this area and everything that is behind it. But yeah, and it also has a high priority just in case some stuff like these buttons here are rendered in front of it. So it also has a high priority system that, I don't know what you call it, but like, yeah. What the heck are these faces? What the frick? Okay, I don't really use sweat mode that much, so the faces caught me off by surprise. But as you can see, this weird texture that will actually move to wherever position, and you can see that it's just a static texture that just moves based on what the cursor is hovering over. Okay, so yeah, we also have that. Alright, so this is how the songs are rendered in this game. And yeah, you can see right here there's a texture at the top as well as these 3 other textures, and yeah, you can see that this background right here will... Right now it is very purple right now, but that's because we're at the song section. If you go into playlists, everything will turn red, and this texture right here changes to match whatever is selected. If you select tutorial, which is normally supposed to be the special things, yeah, you can see right here that, yeah. As you can see, these songs are rendered in kind of a weird way that these songs right here are indeed loaded. As you can see right here that if you take the camera in just the right way, you can see that there's a third song that is rendered this direction. If we take the camera this way, it doesn't seem to be the case at all. Oh, frick you, stupid. Yeah, see, it doesn't work this way. It doesn't work when you go this way. It only works when you go that way. You can still see Pump It rendered, but not the song after Rising Sun, which I guess is Lovers Again, I don't know. But you can see just how everything is rendered. Actually, no, it doesn't seem to work that way. No, I don't. I'm just noticing right here, it doesn't seem to work that way. This image right here is probably to load the next song in the list from whatever direction you go. And if you go backwards, you can see Samishi rendered, and if you go forward in this area, you can see the Mickey Mouse song rendered here. And guess which one is a few songs later? But yeah, the rendering is actually kind of odd if you think about it, because you have no reason to render it this way. And the playlists also kind of work a bit differently too. You never see Simon Says rendered like this ever in Just Dance 3, but like, yeah, so you can see here there's a whole bunch of songs, and you can basically see every solo here. You can see just how, you can see that this is rendered kind of in this layered format, and also like, whenever a playlist is not loaded, you can see that it just defaults to loading the Just Dance 3. A leftover from Just Dance 3 is this weird spinning disc thing that normally in this game you would never see. However, if you play Just Dance 3 and you use some of the same methods that I used for DLC, you will probably be very familiar with this spinning disc texture. Because actually it's seen with a lot of store songs in Just Dance 3. It's associated with the store, and if you don't know what the Just Dance 3 store is, well, I don't want to explain that, but it's basically where you can get new songs. Alright, so how are the individual songs rendered? Well, first, before we get to the individual songs, let's actually see how this is rendered. So first we get this really big semi-transparent pattern, which is actually mostly opaque. Whenever you see this message telling you to remove the extension controller, disconnect it or whatever, but getting rid of that, you can actually see how this entire thing is rendered. You can see it's got the 4 players and stuff, and yeah, you can see just how the score bubbles are rendered. It's kind of weird looking at it from a different angle if you really think about it. There you go, I guess. Also, you can see just how far back these circles are from the actual play button you're supposed to click on. Alright, where's my pointer? Alright, there it is. So, yeah, you can basically see that it's almost basically the same here. And then if you hit add or something, you can... Yeah, this is basically... I'm gonna have to get back to this in the Just Dance 3 boundary breaking video, because the way you enter your name in Japanese is kind of different to how you would enter your name in the American release, so we're gonna have to get back to this if I ever do a Just Dance 3 boundary breaking. I'm gonna have to remember to do that. And you will probably, if you're familiar with Just Dance 3, you will be aware of, you're gonna be aware with how different duets can look, and this is how duets will be rendered. Yeah, that's how player 1 will be rendered on Dancer 1, and this is also the default position for Dancer 2, and as you can see, the dance bubble actually has a higher priority. Looks like the dance bubble thing, the score bubble, it has probably a higher, looks like it does have a higher priority than the, yeah, the score bubble has a higher priority than the dance gauge, despite the fact that it's not in front of it. It just seems to have a higher priority. And here's how Quartet is rendered, or Dance Crew, or whatever. I have player 1 as a reference because, I don't know, it just seems right. So as you see, these are just rendered in one layer, except the text is actually rendered on a different layer. So yeah, you can see that these actually use, yeah, as you can see, these textures are actually textures. The score bubble is no longer a 3D model, unlike Just Dance 2 and Just Dance Wii 1 and Just Dance Summer Party. Alright, so we're gonna now start off with an independent woman. So yeah, this song is actually one of the weird songs to Boundary Break because some of the textures are actually dependent on the camera, despite the fact that they can technically be viewed without it. See these green textures? These are actually supposed to be the raindrops that you would normally see if the game was actually in the default position, but once you start breaking the boundaries, the textures start breaking. As you can see, these roads things are, these little lines don't really go that far away from the screen. Yeah, as you can see, the pictograms are actually rendered slightly in front of the picto bar, which is actually kind of cool. But if we take a look at the song itself, yeah, it's rendered in 3 separate layers. These lightning strikes are indeed double-sided, and so are these textures. As you can see, yeah, that's also how the gold moves are rendered. Yeah, these score bubbles are double-sided, and yeah, it's actually just 2D texture, which is weird, but oh well. So yeah, the X right here, the judgments don't go as far away from the score bubbles as they do in Just Dance Wii 1 and Just Dance 2 and Just Dance Summer Party. Yeah, as you can see, these textures can move forward and backwards because that's how the game works. Here, the textures just seem to swap their colors, none of which are double-sided. No, these are still not double-sided at all. Yeah, it seems like the dancer effects are still tied to the dancer. Yeah, that's basically the entire song. Here's how the pause menu is rendered. The way that it works with the camera is kind of finicky, but it seems to be on a higher priority than all the UI elements that are tied to the song, like and also the score bar and the score bubble, and also seems to have a similar effect to the score bar as well, which might be because it's tied to it, but yeah, so you can see these are rendered weird. You can see how that was rendered. That was cool. Alright. Yeah, this is also how the "Do you want to quit" text appears. It says slightly in front of it, but it's still very much tied to it. It does some sort of 3D effect. I'm going to talk about this song, which exists. Oh boy. So this song has a couple layers to it. It's kind of like one of these music video things. You can see that the entire song is rendered on one layer, but then there's also a different layer behind it that is just a static image. And unfortunately, there's also another Player 64 thing like in Just Dance Wii. Yeah, you're normally never supposed to see the texture behind it during gameplay. So they just look like you would belong in Just Dance 4. There's really not much else to say, so we're just gonna see how it would render it. We're just gonna skip ahead for a while. Yeah, I'm using tab to do some speeding up. It actually does serve a purpose. Speeding this up does serve a purpose of speeding gameplay up. It's actually just the emulator having no speed cap, which right now means that it's going around. It's roughly going around 300%, give or take some weird issues with how consistent it is. So yeah, this is how the ending is rendered. Yeah, it just shows this static image when you're done with the song, but this weird texture right here is layered on top of it and is also a high priority texture. And one crazy thing is that the score bar and this weird effect behind it are on very separate layers, and this weird black thing actually also is in front of both of those, so theoretically you could block off half of it using this texture, but it would not look good because you would see the bottom of it. But normally it's just behind it because of the priority system that the Wii games love to use for some reason. I'm gonna be honest, just seeing music videos as the... I'm not gonna lie, just having some... I'm not gonna lie, just not being able to see any sort of rendering is kind of disappointing. This is like one of those songs that is kind of disappointing to look like, because you just have a music video and a static image behind it. Funny enough, if you were to see this, it would probably be a spoiler to the end of the song. But since I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with the choreography, it's no longer a spoiler unless you've never seen that video somehow, in which, if you're at my channel and you've never seen the Rising Sun choreograph video, please go check it out. It's actually surprisingly difficult for a chord to... It's also one of my favorite songs from the game, but like the way it's rendered actually kind of sucks, and The only thing I can talk about is the fact that the picture bar is centered in it because it's quartet, and this weird effect appears here. Yeah, the pictograms also just spawn in, which some of the songs from Just Dance 3 and from this game do have the issue of being able to see these pictograms spawn in just randomly. You're probably not gonna mind because you're still playing, because you're in the middle of dancing. You don't really have I know a lot of people probably won't even notice it spawning it. But sometimes the pictograms do spawn in. I'm pretty sure it's more likely in Just Dance 3, but in every song in Just Dance 3 as well as this game, the pictograms just spawn in out of nowhere. It's like thin air. Yeah, if you can see the pictograms spawning in within the borders of this music video, you can probably see it in normal gameplay. Also, the lyrics are indeed tied to this song, are indeed tied to the screen. Yeah, it's hard to notice, but you can definitely see it, I'm gonna be honest. Alright, so there's really not a lot to explain here, we're just gonna skip over it. This guy looks like one of those Japanese fans when you speed them up and just see them doing this weird motion. I don't know if that's what they're called, but like those weird fan thingies where you just... I don't know. That's just what they remind me of when sped up. I don't know. This type of rendering is probably my least favorite type of rendering because there's like nothing interesting to talk about. All you see in the choreography is exactly what's rendered. There's nothing special going on outside of the screen that you would otherwise only see sometimes. Like, that's just boring. Also, there's this leftover thing. Also, there's definitely this leftover. There's also these stuff that's... There's also this stuff that's left over from Just Dance 3, which is cool, I guess, but like... Nothing else to know about this. This, just asterisk text asterisk seems to be some sort of placeholder thing that normally is never used. Also, the next in, as well as this, I'm pretty sure is supposed to be the Mojo thing, but that's really the only thing I can think of it being. It's probably just a leftover from Just Dance 3. Next up, we got Lovers Again by Exile. Funny enough, there's 2 Exile songs in the first and second games. And every single time, it's one of my favorites so far. Another disappointing case of it just being another music video. Just with another static image in the background. That's just... Although I guess something cool is that this... I guess the closest thing to it being cool is that the candles glow in the music video and there's sparkles, but they're all still just part of the music video, unlike the gold move effect, which thankfully isn't part of it, which, yeah, that's really the only interesting thing you can see in this as well. This weird effect probably hides the pictograms spawning in randomly a lot better, but they still just do spawn out of thin air, so there's nothing you can do about that. Unless you want to make them fade in, and yeah, that flare is part of the music video, there's no double-sidedness going on. You're never meant to see anywhere past this, or... You're never supposed to see... You're never supposed to see the static image during gameplay. You're only supposed to see it at the end of the song, but even then, it's like really not that noticeable in comparison. So yeah, here's some sped up footage of the dancer dancing at high speeds. roughly 300%, but it's like lower. And yeah, like I said, the lyrics are already tied to the screen, so is the weird icon next to it. So what's this weird icon next to this? Okay, yeah. This is definitely one of the more unique ones, but I don't know, I personally don't really like the song at all. Once again, it's disappointing us again with another music video thing. I think we're all already really bored of this. What's even worse is the song isn't even that good. Sorry to whoever originally made this song, I just don't like it. And I don't know Japanese, so I can't really apologize in Japanese. I don't know, man. I just have to exit this song right now because I don't know, I don't like that. I promise this won't be just a video showcasing music videos. Promise this one's gonna be interesting, okay? This one's not a music video this time. So something cool about this is that the floor isn't even underneath the dancers. The floor is actually all the way back here. And you can see some glowing objects that are double-sided. Some of them are double-sided anyways, but... So yeah, these palm trees and these clouds are double-sided, which is weird, but I don't know, maybe they were expecting to flip them at some point, so I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of double-sidedness going on here, but I mean, I do think this is actually one of the more uniquely rendered things. Alright, during the chorus, how much of this is... Oh, frick off. None of this is double-sided, but the text is double-sided in case you didn't know. See right there, that's the player text. Yeah, you can actually see that the beginning part of the goal move is actually rendered 4 separate times, which I'm pretty sure is also, which pretty much also means that the sound effect will play 4 times, which, yeah, everyone hears the sound effects. There's really not much else to say. Yeah, this actually, most of the waves here actually do go in a circular motion. You don't really see that much, there's really not that much past where you can normally see. And even if they're supposed to, even if you could realistically see them cut off, there's like 3 or 4 of them, so that you'll never actually see them getting cut off anyways. And Yeah. You can actually see just how much is rendered here, and yeah. Just look at how animated this really is right here. And I'm not gonna be able to go over every last thing in each of these songs because of the limited time we have here, but I just want to go over some of the more important things. Alright, I think we're just gonna do this one and then Pawn Pawn Pawn, and then we'll just save the rest of these original songs for the next one. Then after that we'll do the American songs. How's that sound? So this song is also just another music video, but something really interesting about this song is that instead of there being just some static image in the background, there's this really big orangish or more gold color that is. You see this golden color in the background being way different ratio to the rectangle here, just scaled up. Even when scaled down, this would probably have a way different ratio. I don't know why they decided to do that, but it's just a little fun fact, I guess. I don't know what else to say about this. Yeah, I don't know, this song is just there, I guess, I don't know. It's not even the best song in the game, it's just there. There's really not much else I can say about this song, so, since we ended on a music video, we can just, talk about some really cool and interesting things about this. So yeah, there's actually something unique about this tutorial that it doesn't appear in Just Dance 3. As you can see here, there's Rasputin in the background doing his little things. Not only is it recognizable to Japanese players, it's also recognizable to American players. There's nothing going on in terms of background things, but, there's actually this little unique thing that where you can see that this is also this plus button, the D-pad button right here, as well as some of these things. These textures that seem to be tied to the D-pad. There's also this bar here that just has. There's also this bar that seems to be. Yeah, it just seems to be very. I don't know, it just seems to be very unique in how it works, I guess. I don't know. There's also this tutorial icon. There's also this tutorial text, which, is actually double-sided, but it's also rendered on top of this. And also, I forgot to mention just how judgments are rendered in Quartet mode. This is how the X's are rendered in Quartet mode. It's actually surprisingly close to the score bubble, which just so happens to be right next to the star bar. And one interesting side effect, if you're playing the American version, the perfect will actually go over the first star, which means that if you're getting a whole bunch of perfects in a row, it'll look like you only have 4 stars to get. So yeah, that's interesting that we got the tutorial, and yeah, it's basically the same for every song, which is kind of cool. So yeah, we'll probably get the rest of the original songs in the second part of this, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, this was a really short first part. So yeah, I'm just gonna end it by